Hey everyone, Taylor Sievers here with Sievers Blumen Farm, and today I wanted to kind of show you guys the reality of flower farming or farming in general as the sweat drips down in my eyeballs and I can't see, so I'm gonna keep blinking. I first of all want to show you I'll show some footage of our cute little calf here in a minute, but I just wanted to take a second to show you how flower farming is not all just beautiful pictures. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Beautiful Instagram worthy pictures. It really sucks this time of year. It is July, we're still kind of in early July, and my 30 by 96 high tunnel, if you can see here, is really hot, but that doesn't mean that the weeds and the flowers stop growing. I have a few crops in here, and I also put my own tomatoes in here this year for us to eat, and I just wanted to kind of show you some of my realities right now. So I'm gonna flip it around here. So I'm nearing the end of weeding this back half. Down on the very end was my snapdragons, and we applied some new compost, some of our own compost to basically the back half of this bed, and it wasn't finished, and what that means is it didn't get hot enough to kill any of the weed seeds. So I have had a huge weedy mess problem, specifically in the back half. This was where my stalk was planted, and the stalk didn't do that great because it got so hot. And then all of a sudden these massive weeds came up, and so you can see I haven't weeded through here yet. This back half was using this. It'll get this weedy anyways, but not quite as soon. Like, there's a big lamb's quarter. So that's just some of the things that you have to deal with in the summer. It's like miserable to be out here, and then the weeds get crazy. So what I did was I pulled all the weeds and then just laid them down on top of the bed for now, just to kind of act as a mulch, and I'll probably come through and pile them up into my wheelbarrow later. So taking a break from this to enjoy some footage of our sweet little baby that was just born. He kind of had a rough go of it, poor guy. And so did his mom, but they're both doing really good now. She had a little bit of a uterine infection after almost trying to prolapse, which basically means throwing her uterus out. But we stitched her up twice, and she's had some antibiotics, and the baby is doing great. And then next to him is our older baby, so he's doing pretty good too. But they've been so cute. So this is another example of a weedy area. You can tell right here I've got something going, and that's my scented geranium. But then along here was anemones, and I basically just avoided this area. And so now I have all these weeds. Water hemp, mare's tail, some smartweed, some Perilla frutescens. Smells kind of like licorice. Actually gets a really pretty purple flower head on it that can be used in cut flower arrangements. But anyways, so this is my attempt at growing tomatoes in a tunnel. But anyways, so I guess I just wanted to share that, you know, after planting, the work is not over. In fact, there is so much work ahead. Planting can be really like, let's get it in the ground kind of time, but this is the hard part. This is the part that really exhausts people, including me. And also just harvesting. So you have to harvest, you gotta weed, you're trying to make bouquets, you're trying to sell. It gets really exhausting. So I definitely think that before you go into starting a big garden, or if you want a cut flower farm or a veggie farm, have a plan in place for what you're gonna do to make your life easier to weed, maybe. You know, like, it's not, I can't go in until this really because I got all my drip irrigation down and it's just a mess. So yeah, happy farming. So taking a little break. Got my water, my rag, got my little microphone so you can hear me a little better. But my husband always says that complaining is never helpful for people, and that you should always provide a solution. If you're going to talk about a problem and you want to help people in a blog post or Instagram post or whatever, not that he's an expert, but like he said, you know, people want to know solutions, they just don't want to hear people complain. So I was kind of complaining there with all the weeds. But I also do want to show you the reality of there's just been a really big surge in flower farming, and I have fallen into that trap of I can do this, and I'm going into year 5, and I feel like I am finally getting to the point where I am thinking more seriously about my business and what I really have time for and what I really want to be doing with my time. So I wanted to show you some of the stuff that we have to deal with, because I have had people message me and say, I want your life. And I don't think they quite understand like how much of a mess things can be in the summertime especially, and that's when all of our flowers are ready and sales are usually down. But so some solutions, I guess. A lot of flower farmers are actually looking to take the summer off. So that's a trend I've been seeing on like Instagram a lot, is a lot of people are taking their vacations right now and not caring, not worrying, you know, like they're just not, maybe their bouquet subscriptions, they have some time in between, or they're just not just gonna try to push sales as hard to go to the markets at this time. People are busy with ball games and vacations themselves, so sales are usually down, and they're like, why just sweat my butt off and worry about bringing this product that I might not be able to sell? So a lot of flower farmers are choosing just to take the summers off. They focus on crops in the spring, late spring, maybe even early summer, and then they wait for fall. And that's something that I can get on board with. Some people are just choosing maybe to focus on a few crops and wholesale those to florists, which was originally my goal for this year, was just to cut out most of my retail sales, except for around Mother's Day, and then focus on florists. But again, florists are slow in the summer too, so that doesn't always work out for us here when that's when we have our bounty, right? And then pivoting maybe, this is kind of what I'm planning to do. I hesitate to really like broadcast this because I'm not fully seated in this, but I'm looking to get into more of the selling like roses, for example. I really want to be able to sell potted roses to people in the spring, and I want that to be my main thing. I want to get to the point where I can ship those to people. I want to get to the point where I can propagate those and be, you know, kind of like my own little nursery, and then from there, if we sold other perennials and shrubs and stuff like that, that would be great. But then having some of the cut flowers alongside that, I think would be really nice, like having the cut flowers around Mother's Day and doing workshops and stuff like that at that time of the year. And then, hey, if you want to come to this workshop, then you can browse the rose nursery and so on. So I'm leaning more towards simplifying my life, right? And just getting to a point where it's not just go, go, go during the summer, and I can actually take some time to like veggie garden and, you know, can and do all these homesteading things that I want to do. And I just haven't been able to do that in the last 5 years. Started to ramble there. So I guess my point is really think about, I think when people get overwhelmed and why businesses fail, it just seems like as I listen to podcasts and talk to people and whatever, people fail or because they get burnt out. They don't it's just hustle, hustle, hustle for so long, and there's no like real plan in place. And so I think there are those organized people out there that have a great business plan up front and know exactly what they're doing and have their goals lined out, and that is great. But then there are some of us that are dreamers, and we get easily shiny object syndrome, and we want to do all the things. And if that's you, that's also me. And I think that we get kind of lost in the weeds, so to speak. And so it's okay. I just want to say this because it took me a long time to get to this point. There's been a lot of pain to get to this point, but it is okay to step back and just slow down. And there was so much fear and anxiety, and I just felt like I was letting people down at the beginning of this season in my community, because I did step back from some of the flower farming. But I feel better, and I've been working on some other projects that really do excite me. I love to write. I've been working on that more, and but I still know I want flower farming to be a part of my life. But I'm finally getting to the point now where I would rather, spend my time having a nice, smaller, neat space than having so many things to grow and so much going on, and I'm growing all the things and then it's done really poorly. So I think that is my parting words of wisdom, is don't feel bad about trying new things, but don't also feel bad when you realize that it's time to take a step back and maybe reflect on things a little bit more each year in your garden, so that you don't get overwhelmed. Because when you're out there harvesting, it's so worth it, but it can be really disheartening when you get to this point of the season and you're tired already, and it's just beginning. So don't be afraid to take a step back and reflect on what you really want. So that's my words of wisdom, and also just the realities of flower farming. It's not just beautiful Instagram photos. So have a good weekend.